This video is about game-changing, well for us, upgrades, modifications that we've made and can recommend if you have an older motorhome specifically.
Welcome to our channel.
We're Andre and Lisa, a married South African-Italian couple who have been traveling together for 20 years, exploring more than 50 countries. Since 2018, we've been full-time nomads with the goal of making travel a sustainable, long-term way of life. For the past few years, we've been winding our way through Europe while living in our 21-year-old motorhome, Millie. This year, we embarked on an epic journey of new discoveries. Starting from Italy, we explored the Western Balkans before returning to Denmark for summer. Right now, we're happy to be in Spain, slowing down to enjoy the warmer weather and sunny skies. The upcoming year holds exciting plans as we set our sights on Morocco. So hit that subscribe button and join our adventure.
Welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Andre.
And I'm Lisa, and we live in our 22-year-old motorhome, Millie. We've been living in this van now for 3 years almost.
Coming up to 3 years.
And almost everything has changed in this van over that period of time.
Before we kick off, remember we are counting backwards from 10 to 1, so stick to the end. You want to see number 1. That is by far the most important and the best one. Now, before we get stuck into it, normally we make travel related videos. Although we've been traveling and living in our motorhome for almost 3 years now, it's quite remarkable looking back over the last 2.5 to 3 years how our approach have changed and what has evolved since we started this journey.
Every time we have a list of modifications that we'd like to make, we're not sure whether they're going to be worth the money, then we make them, and looking back, we're like, why didn't we do this sooner? So these are those game-changing things. Some of them are more expensive than others, but these are all things that we cannot imagine doing full-time motorhome living, traveling around Europe without these modifications.
None of these are sponsored products. We're not being paid to tell you about these things.
Unfortunately.
I will put some links down below. You'll find most of these products in our Amazon store. Click on it, don't click on it. You can go find these on your own if you want to.
But hopefully this will answer possibly some of your questions as to whether these items are worth spending money on, depending on how you travel and what motorhome you've got.
It's always going to be a trade-off between how much do you invest in your vehicle. If you travel like us, full-time, certain things become less and more important in other ways. So we don't go to campsites really. We enjoy getting away from the crowds, so we travel very slowly and differently. So some of these things really enhance that style of travel for us.
And maybe just a little bit of background for those of you who haven't been following us or are new to our channel. We started by motorhoming for 4 months with a loaned family vehicle in 2018. We never intended to live in our motorhome and travel like this full time. When COVID hit, we ended up coming to Europe, buying our own motorhome, not knowing whether it was going to be something that we'd be doing for 6 months or longer. And here we are 2.5, 3 years later.
Let's kick off.
Let me kick it off. But you said 10 and I'm kicking off with a bonus one, number 11. Because
Bonus ones are supposed to be at the end, not the beginning.
well, my one's at the beginning.
So this one doesn't really count.
This one doesn't really count in Andre's opinion, but to some of you out there, it really might. And to me, this is almost number 1. So I'm going to say it. This is the interior aesthetic changes that we made to a 21, at that point, year-old motorhome. This motorhome was horrific inside. Just as all old motorhomes are, everything inside was a wood finish. We painted the cupboards. We put up mirrors to bring in more light. The upholstery was horrific blue with flowers on and velvety and satiny. Definitely classic. The bathroom was yellow and blue. The table was mustard orange. And to me, that makes a difference on a day-to-day basis because living in it, it feels like our home. It's got our personal touch, whatever that is in your opinion. It makes the place feel like home, makes it look a little bit more modern, even though from the outside it still looks like an old motorhome. So I feel like this is important if you live in a vehicle full-time.
Some of the changes was necessary. Like we eventually developed a crack in our basin. We had to redo our bathroom. Some of them was purely for the aesthetics, like you say, cosmetic changes, just to make it more livable. It's sometimes we get people that frown that we're changing an original motorhome, but we have no qualms drilling a hole or changing something, painting the ceiling. Yeah, why not? This thing is not designed to live in full time. And I think you have to take the opportunity and make it as convenient and comfortable for yourself when you have it. Let's kick off the real list. Number 10.
Number 10.
Who's taking it?
You.
Number 10. We wanted an outside shower, and for that we had to cut a beautiful hole in the side of our motorhome
Very stressful.
because I kite surf, and we also have SUPs, so we sometimes surf and SUP and kite surf, and just having something outside to rinse off the sand or quickly wash your gear or something like that, or just rinse your feet is really indispensable. And we've actually plumbed hot water to it. It's super nice.
I think it's important to mention here, it's not just about being able to shower outside, because yes, many times you can just take your hose from the inside, whether it's your kitchen basin or your shower, out the window. But our focus was to be able to use this water from outside the van without getting inside with sandy feet.
Yes, exactly. A lot of van life people always talk about showering outside, but that's a total fallacy, in my opinion, for most of Europe. You very rarely find yourself in a place private enough where you can actually shower outside. Okay, number 9.
We fitted a electric valve and separate discharge point to our grey water tank.
Wait, do you make it sound so simplistic? The reason why we wanted it is multiple. We generally only let shower water into our grey tank. In fact, we don't even call it the grey tank. We just call it our temporary holding tank. If you just discharge of it quickly enough, and I'm not saying in the parking lot, if you discharge it quickly enough, it never smells. So we prioritize emptying our holding tank every single day, whether that means stopping over a grid at a car wash, or where you drive somewhere you can
Parking area
and there's a grey grid, you can do it. And the convenient factor of having a switch in the front where you can just throw it, because rain or shine, you can do it without having to get out of the vehicle. Unfortunately, our main discharge valve is also quite awkward. You have to get underneath the vehicle and plug it out, and always splashes everywhere. We've also made it so that you can connect a hose to it, and you can actually run it into a bucket or straight into a separate discharge place. So if you are parked for longer, you can do that. It's just so convenient.
It's a silly little thing, but it's super, super convenient, and I'm glad we did it.
So we put an electric ball valve as an additional outlet to our grey tank, and we run a switch to the front of the cab.
This did mean sticking my hand up into the grey tank and having to hold something there and twist things in place. It was an intricate
actually quite a cheap thing to do. You can do it for you can get these valves like 20-30 euros, I would say, but you have to sort of figure out the electrics of it as well. Number 8.
Number 8 is a reversing camera. Now, this is also something that might not seem essential, and often if you're traveling as a couple, it's not necessary at all. One person hops out the vehicle, gives instructions, and does the reversing happens.
Assuming you understand each other.
I was going to say, it might not be essential to van life, but it is essential to the relationship. Either we're going to be married or we get the reversing camera.
That's the funniest thing. Okay, I'm not going to talk about this. It's going to elicit negativity.
Let's say having a reversing camera is definitely good for our relationship, and also if you are alone in the van, it definitely helps to know that you can reverse without having somebody outside.
It's something you got to get used to. When Lisa left me alone for about a week earlier this year, it was quite an adjustment to suddenly drive alone, because you do have quite a big blind spot even if you're just turning into a side road. So having the cameras really helps. We actually have 2 cameras at the back. We've got a normal reversing one that's got the little lane indicators very low down, and we got a main camera at the back, which we always leave on when we drive, and it acts as our rear view camera as well.
And that, I will say also, as a passenger in a motorhome where there is no rear view mirror that I can actually see what's happening behind us when we're in traffic, things like that, I find it very reassuring to be able to watch the reversing camera while we're driving, or rather the rear view camera while we're driving, and see what's happening behind. Oh God, there's a truck bearing down on us, those kind of things.
Can be a bit disorientating, but you do get used to it. Number 7, security.
As you can imagine, a 21-year-old, 22-year-old motorhome is not a very secure vehicle.
No, we don't have central locking. Our habitation doors, I think you can open with a toothpick. All these things. You have these weak spots now. 2 videos before this one, maybe. I'll link to it description and up here. There we did a dedicated security video, and all of those things add together to just giving us the confidence to leave our vehicle unattended, to feel more secure inside it while we're in it and away from it. So if you haven't seen that video, have a look at it. In short, we did things like fitting a motion activated alarm inside. We upgraded our locks. We got steering locks. We got inside cab locks. We got outside floodlights, we've got outside CCTV system, we've
Fancy
got...
window locks. For the rest of it, you've got to go and watch
Check it
that
out.
video. Let's move on from there.
Number 6.
We upgraded our motorhome's suspension.
Well, I don't know, I wouldn't call it an upgrade per se, but an improvement.
It's definitely an upgrade. It's not the ultimate. We would love to be able to raise this van, have a little bit more capability, have bigger wheels, but unfortunately the budget hasn't quite stretched that far yet.
No, we have a 3.5 ton vehicle, so you're really pushing the stock suspension to its limit. Fortunately, these motorhomes already come with slightly upgraded rear leaf springs. I would say if you have the option, get yourself some airbags fitted. What we've done is we actually replaced the stock bump stops to the back and put them with like little airbag bump stops, and that just completely changed the feel of the ride, and it creates some sort of assistant spring at the back.
And that also stabilizes the motorhome when it comes to left-right movement just being in the van, whether it's because the wind's blowing or moving around in the motorhome.
Yeah. June this year, we were in Serbia. We had some friends there, and they helped us to do some work on the van. So we replaced all the suspension components at that point, and shortly thereafter, when we drove through Budapest, we went past these guys, Springtech, I think it was called, and we got these components which we put in the front suspension and the rear, and it really made a big difference. So pay attention to your weight and see whether you can improve your ride quality and safety with just leveling it up a little bit. Number 5
is our Max fan.
Oh, yes.
This was one of those expensive things that we took a long time to justify purchasing, and it's been worth every single cent.
Yeah, our motorhome unfortunately clearly was designed for a very definitive purpose. It does not have big skylights. It actually had a 220 volt air conditioning unit, which we never use because we never go to campsite.
Which we've subsequently removed.
Of course, and we had this one small normal Fiamma 40x40 vent in the back, and eventually we bit the bullet. And this is an ongoing process. We're talking about ventilation here. The Max fan, in my opinion, is just an absolute game changer, because I cannot tell you how many times we've been sleeping and you hear 2 drops fall and you have to, oh no, we have to wake up. So you
Close the roof vents.
close the vents.
Then it gets too hot, and then you have to open them again. Then it rains again and you close them. It just ruins your night of sleep.
So fitting a vent with a fan that you can keep open no matter what the rain is absolutely a game changer.
Yes, we're allowed to use the word.
Overuse it. It's a game changer. You just don't have to worry about it. In fact, we went to South Africa in the beginning of this year for maybe 2 months, and we just left our Max fan on for 2 months, and we came back. There wasn't even a whiff of stale air, no sign of any moisture. It just makes that big a difference.
I'll say that this Max fan now has been in for more than a year.
Wow.
It's run almost 24/7, mostly only at 10%. It really is silent, and it's remained silent. I was very dubious as to whether it would remain silent.
We also have a Titan extraction fan in our bathroom
Love
vent,
that.
which is really nice because it's got a timer. And then we also fitted a overhead fan, extraction fan at our cooker, which is in my opinion also critical to just get the steam out faster.
If you watched a lot of our videos, you know we like to cook salmon in our camper, not to mention Brussels sprouts.
But we're not allowed to talk about Brussels sprouts anymore. See the previous video. We're actually gonna add some more ventilation things we're thinking about, so we'll talk about that at another point.
This list is never ever over. There's always further upgrades to be done. But at number 4 is one of the things that we did right from the start, and that is we installed a water filtration tap. We always fill our main tank with potable water wherever we can, but being able to drink water straight from this filter tap means that we don't need to purchase water bottles, and we don't have to store them in the van and also go get rid of the plastic after the fact by recycling. And especially when you change from country to country, having to take a bottle to recycling is just not even possible.
Yeah, and many of the countries, even like Germany now, introduced a system deposit system. So if you go to the Nordic countries, Scandinavia, every plastic bottle you buy, you have to return to that country. So what we did is we've got like a multi-stage filtration system. Now we also have a pre-filter before our pump, that filters down to 0.1 micron, just to save our pump from a bit of stress. And when we put water into our tank, we normally put it through a particle filter just to keep sand out of our tank as well. We use a cartridge system, so it's a 3-in-1, super easy, and because we use the pre-filters, it gives us a good 12 months worth of filtered water. It's not quite reverse osmosis, but it goes down to 0.01 micron, which is adequate for 99.9% of our risks.
Number three is refillable LPG. Another one of the things that we did right from the start. And all I can say is I cannot imagine traveling around Europe without having a refillable LPG system.
What a hassle to go into another country and figure out, oh, how long can I go? Must I get a local bottle? We got caught short so badly in 2018. Went to France with our Italian gas bottles. We were like, these things look different. Okay, no worries. Let's go to Switzerland. Oops. Okay, we have to leave. We have to go back to Italy. We have to change bottles. It's chaos. So now, having a refillable LPG system with an external filling point just makes your life just so much easier. I mean, now in winter, we use twice the amount of gas because we use it for heating as well. And it's just super convenient. You just stop everywhere, top it up whenever you want to, and you just don't have to stress about it. If you plan on traveling long-term throughout Europe, this is an absolute must.
And I mean, what we did was initially we kept one normal exchangeable gas bottle, so that would be your local bottle, whether that's now UK, in our case it was Italian, and then our second bottle is our refillable bottle. So you can have a dual system, which works pretty well if you don't always want to be filling with LPG.
We're going to Morocco now, and we'll refill our LPG just before we cross over, because you don't get refillable LPG in Morocco, and we'll get a local bottle and put it next to it, and we'll use that as our main supply with our LPG as backup. But if you want to see more about our Morocco trip, remember to subscribe to this channel, because we are going to Morocco in a few weeks.
I think we are.
Well, you never know. Yeah, we are known to make
change
change our minds a little bit.
Number 2, an old motorhome. Obviously, well, this one did not come with any solar or any electrical, I don't know, what do you call it, system.
For this age vehicles, it was pretty standard. You had a very simplistic system. Mostly you went to campsites, so it wasn't an issue. A big problem for us is we just don't travel far enough regularly, so we don't drive. So what I would normally suggest people do is fit a good battery to battery charger, put a lithium battery in there, and get some solar.
And some people say, all you got to do is drive for 2 hours a day. Well, the truth is we went through the whole of Portugal driving an average of 25 kilometers a day. That is not enough to charge any battery.
Well, we've been in Spain now, coming up to 2 months. Now we filled our tank twice.
We've just refilled, so we've used one whole tank of fuel.
We did 500 k's in 2 months. Now that's a problem. So driving or running our motor. By the way, can I ask, if you plan on traveling through Europe in winter and your strategy is to idle your car at 3 a.m. because either you're cold or your batteries are dead, can I suggest that you need to rethink that strategy?
No, I want to know from the general motorhoming community, do you think it's acceptable to idle your vehicle for hours in an area where you are parked adjacent to other people?
No, I think you should go away and go idle your vehicle somewhere else and then come back if you want. It's the most inconsiderate thing you can do, except for parking very close to it and slamming your door 20 times a minute. Anyway, that's a whole different story. Let's get back to this electric. So what we did is, obviously, if I could do it all over again, I would plaster the roof completely with solar.
And the sides of the van.
And the back. But we are actually going to add 2 more panels now, and that'll take us up to 600 watts on the roof. Now, if that sounds excessive, it is, because it is, but we are power users. We work on the road. Sometimes we edit videos. We don't. Our van is actually very light on power because everything's LED now, and our house battery only really runs our water pump and our lights.
But the one thing that most people don't realize is the difference between summer and winter in Europe. It's not about the temperature, it's not about how pleasant it is, it's about daylight hours and the angle of the sun. The days are just so short, the sun sits so low that the difference in what you get from the same solar panel under the same blue sky condition is completely different. And this is the thing, we need to now have the capacity for winter in Europe.
Yeah, you have to really carefully consider your requirements and scale accordingly. Season seasonal change is a major headache for us. We get like a third of the capacity out of our solar panels this time of the year. I'm going to make a separate video probably in the next few weeks and explain what we've done to our old van. It's not high tech, it's simple, it's all me doing it, not major fiddling with the existing electronics or electrics. It's just the way that works for us. So I'm going to make a video at that point.
And the first thing and the cheapest, quickest thing that you can do if you've bought an old motorhome is to change all your light fittings to LED. It costs you maybe €10, maybe 20, and that will reduce.
Maybe you shouldn't put a price on it, darling.
Okay. Well,
how can you claim that?
Well, you just go buy the LED strips from
and then
any
what? And a soldering iron and a guy who knows how to solder and take the lights apart and.
Okay, it costs you like €100 an hour. You can ask Andre to do it.
Problem solved. Another thing is get yourself a little solar power bank like an EcoFlow. That's what we use for most of electronics.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Not sponsored. At least you can go plug it in somewhere else. Or you can pay for 2 hours electric and you can charge yourself up. It's really super convenient. Now let's move on to number
1.
Okay, can I say it? Can I say it? We don't have a cassette toilet anymore.
If we did everything right, it should just like lift off.
You make it sound so easy. Lift off. We've got lift off. Oh gosh.
Ooh, that's a weird noise.
Well, I think we're going to relocate it. This looks like a good spot.
For a lot of people, it seems like a crazy idea, and Lisa also agreed with me when more than a year ago I said, I think we need to replace our cassette toilet with a composting or separating system. We actually ran into this mind shift more than a year ago when we found ourselves in the south of Italy, completely out of season, and every single campsite was closed. Most of the motorhome areas are private in that part of the world, and all of them were closed. So you find yourself in a tricky position having to constantly look for a service point.
This has been undoubtedly the #1 game-changing modification.
The advantage is we don't have to plan our route according to the next service point, and that's what we had to do in the past, and you will be able to relate to this. In the Western Balkans, for example, it just opens up so much more freedom and opportunity for you to travel those kind of countries if you're not stuck to having to look for service points. So we're not recommending a specific product. We actually ended up fitting the separate Tiny, which is really quite amazing, but there's plenty of options available. You can go do your own homework.
If you want to see how we did it, installing it into our old motorhome, I'm sure Andre will put that
There's
video.
There's a video, we did it more than a year ago. Look, it's going to depend on the layout of your bathroom. You might have to strip it down or have it done professionally. Sometimes it's going to be easy. In our case, it was almost easy. It just didn't quite fit, but it was enough. I think that wraps it up. Now, the purpose of this little video was just to give you some motivation, some inspiration, and some ideas on how you can make changes if you plan on traveling long term in an older vehicle like this.
And also to tell you that you don't need to find a motorhome or van that is perfectly suited to you and what you need. Often you can spend less and rather make these personal modifications and get much better value out of it by doing it yourself and personalizing it.
If you made this far, thank you so much for watching.
Don't forget to hit the like button.
Hit the subscribe button, and we are in the south of Spain. We're traveling a bit slower, but we will get back to travel videos soon. Our next video might be a budget video on the last 12 months on the road. So if you're interested in that, we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching.
Bye.
Adios.